Okay, you guys, so we are going to start reading The Dollhouse Murders. The Dolls Don't Forget by Betty Wren Wright. And so I thought I would record myself so I'm not reading it twice in a day. Okay, so the contents are right here. The first chapter is called She Can't Help the Way She Is, and it's in quotation marks, so somebody must have said it. Amy Trelawney kicked off her shoes and climbed onto the cushioned bench in the middle of Regent's Mall. The mall was crowded with Friday evening shoppers, some of whom turned to stare. "Can you see her?" Ellen Kramer asked. "You ought to be able to see her. She's so big," Amy finished and hopped down from the bench. It was true. She should have been able to find Luann's bright blue windbreaker, even in a crowd. At 11, Luann was 2 inches taller than 12-year-old Amy, and she weighed 20 pounds more. She was the biggest girl in her class at the Stadler School for Exceptional Children. "My mother is going to kill me," Amy moaned. "She hangs on to Luann every single minute when they go shopping together." "Did she ever wander away before?" "Only about 1,000,000 times," Amy said. It was the first time she'd gone shopping with Ellen, the first time they'd planned to do something together after school. Ellen was new to Claiborne, and Amy was eager to have her for a friend. "This'll probably finish it," Amy thought. "We're wasting the whole afternoon. This'll be the shortest friendship on record." "What can we do? Does she know how to make a phone call home?" Ellen was looking at a window display of designer jeans, probably wishing she'd come to the mall alone. "She gets mixed up," Amy said. "Besides, her mother isn't home yet. Let's go down to the crosswalk. She might be around the corner where we can't see her." As they neared the crosswalk, a squawking sound cut through the piped-in music. A moment passed before Amy realized that the squawking was voices. "Oh no," she groaned. She'd recognized 2 words. "Luann Trelawney." There was a ripple of childish laughter. Amy darted ahead. Around the corner, a thick carpet had been laid down the center of the walk, and a puppet stage was set up at one end. A crowd of small children and their mothers sat on the carpet and looked up at the stage, where a hawk-nosed puppet was shrieking questions at the audience. I always wanted to make an appearance. In the center of the group stood Luann, her face shining with excitement. She was answering the puppet in a voice as shrill as his own. Amy felt rather than saw Ellen step back around the corner. If only she could back away too. But she couldn't. Already, some of the mothers were looking annoyed. "Luann!" Amy worked her way through the audience, trying not to step on small fingers. "I'm sorry. Excuse me, please." She grasped the sleeve of the blue windbreaker and tugged. "Come on." Luann turned, her broad face radiant. "The puppet talks to me, Amy," she said. "He asks my name." "Luann, move. This is for little kids." She gripped her sister's wrist. Luann let herself be dragged away, but her eyes didn't leave the stage. "Bye," she called. "Bye-bye, puppet." "Bye, sweetie," the puppet replied. "Come back soon." There was laughter and some exasperated sighs from the mothers. "Who else is going to talk to me?" the puppet demanded. A chorus of little voices sounded behind them as Amy pulled Luann into the main part of the mall. Ellen was several stores away, examining a display of shoes. Her face was carefully blank when they joined her, and she didn't look at Luann at all. "What shall we do now?" Amy asked quickly. "Do you want to shop for something special, Ellen?" Ellen shrugged. We could go to the casual shop and check out their sweaters, she said. If you think it's all right. She risked a hasty glance at Luann. I want to see the puppets, Luann said. Let's go back, Amy. I like the puppets. We're going to the casual shop, Amy snapped. Come on, Luann's mouth opened wide in the beginning of a wail. It's down this way, past the flower shop, Amy pointed. Her sister loved flowers. Where? Luann broke away and started down the mall. Amy let her go. There was no reason to hold Luann's hand every minute, as long as she kept her in sight. Are you going to buy a sweater? She asked Ellen. I wish I could. A rugby shirt, maybe. I want a striped one. They walked slowly, following the blue windbreaker. I can't buy it, but if I find exactly the right one. Ellen rolled her eyes and grinned. I can just sort of mention it at home. My birthday's in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Mine is next Friday, June 15th, the last day of school. Mine's the 22nd. We're practically twins. Maybe we can have a party or something to celebrate, Amy suggested. A double birthday party would be fun. She waited for an answer, but Ellen was looking at the flower shop, where Luann had stopped to gaze at the floral display. Uh-oh, she said. That man. Amy followed her stare. A tall man had come out of the shop and was shaking his finger at Luann's face. Luann shrank back and looked around for help. Amy started to run. This time, Ellen followed right behind her. And don't ever do that again, the man shouted as the girls drew close. You shouldn't be running around alone. He stopped as Amy reached for Luann's hand. Are you with her? Amy nodded. The hand in hers was trembling. Then why don't you watch her? He was furious. Look what she's done. A cluster of yellow tulips in pots stood on a low shelf in front of the store window. One of the blooms was broken and drooped over the edge of its pot. That's a $9 item. Ruined, the man fumed. I ought to make your parents pay for it. This shouldn't be the kid. They shouldn't let this kid out without someone responsible enough to look for her. Amy's face burned. I'm sorry, she said over Luann's mounting sobs. We have tulips at home, and she knows it's okay to pick them. She just forgot. I mean, she understands she shouldn't pick other people's flowers, but she likes them so much. That helps a whole lot, doesn't it? The florist said sarcastically. Somebody better teach her how to behave if she's going to wander around in a public place. Amy's embarrassment was swallowed up in rage. She had $10 in a wallet, the last of her Christmas money from her grandmother. She hoped to pick out a bathing suit today and use the $10 to put the suit on layaway until her birthday. Suddenly, though it was more important to make this man regret her rudeness. We have money, she said. Luann, stop crying. It's okay. She glared at the florist. You said $9? He glared back. Then his gaze flicked over the people who had stopped to listen and were looking at Luann. That poor child, one woman said. She's heartbroken. Look how she's crying. She didn't know any better. You can tell. Amy took the $10 bill from her wallet and held it out. I need change, she said. Luann stopped crying. The mall became very quiet. The florist started to reach for the bill, then turned away in disgust. Forget it, he snapped. Just keep that girl away from my stock.